For the last decade, if you asked anyone where the internet lives in India, the answer was just obvious: Mumbai.
Always Mumbai.
We know it as the financial capital, Bollywood, all of that. But it has also been the nation's digital heartbeat. As of today, 53% of India's entire data center capacity is in that one city.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
It's hard to overstate how dominant that is. When you have more than half the market in a country the size of India, you're not just a leader. You're basically the monopoly.
And that is the twist, because we have got a stack of reports here, market analysis, policy documents, and they all point to one conclusion. The king is in trouble. Despite that massive lead, Mumbai is facing what some analysts are calling an existential challenge.
Existential is a heavy word, but I think it fits. The growth rate in Mumbai is slowing right down, just as the rest of the market is, hitting the accelerator.
And you've got these unexpected challengers popping up, cities like Visakhapatnam, Chennai, and they are just eating up market share.
They really are.
So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly why the physical home of the internet is shifting. We're going to talk about how AI is breaking the energy grid, this silent crisis of water scarcity, and, whether Mumbai can save itself or if it gets dethroned by 2030.
It's a classic disruption story. It's about physics, geography, and ultimately about policy.
Let's start with the incumbent then. To understand why Mumbai's in trouble, you have to respect why it dominated for so long. Looking at the numbers for January 2026, it still looks like a beast on paper.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's just lay out the baseline stats. Mumbai currently has approximately 810 megawatts of operational capacity.
Okay, and for anyone who doesn't track power metrics daily, what does that mean?
Well, the total capacity for the entire nation of India is about 1,530 megawatts.
So one city has more than half of the whole country's digital infrastructure. That's a massive concentration.
It is a massive concentration of both risk and power. And it didn't happen by accident. It was a mix of geology and legacy, the biggest factor: submarine cables.
Right. I think we all forget that the cloud is actually just a bunch of cables running under the ocean.
Exactly. It's not satellites. It's fiber optic pipes on the seafloor. And Mumbai has direct access to the major global landing stations. If you're a bank or a stock trader, you need your servers physically close to where those cables hit land.
Because of latency, the time delay.
Right, latency. In the financial world, milliseconds equal millions of dollars. You literally can't afford for your data to travel an extra 500 kilometers inland. You lose the trade, so the banks just had to be in Mumbai.
Yeah. And where the money goes, the infrastructure follows.
Precisely. Because the banks were there, the hyperscalers moved in.
Let's define that term for everyone: hyperscalers. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're talking about the giants: Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. They build on a massive scale, and they saw the banks Mumbai and said, okay, we need to be there to serve them.
So it created a kind of gravitational pull?
It did. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everyone went to Mumbai because everyone else was already there.
A network effect, but in physical form. But here's where we start to see the crack in the armor. Looking at these 2025 growth numbers, India added a whopping 387 megawatts of capacity in just 1 year.
Which is double the growth of the previous year. The pie is exploding.
But here's the warning sign. Mumbai is getting a smaller and smaller slice of that new pie. Emerging markets in India are growing at a CAGR of, 44 to 48%?
Yeah, huge numbers. Meanwhile, Mumbai is seeing single-digit growth.
That is a massive discrepancy. If the demand is there, why isn't Mumbai capturing it? Is it just land, or is it something bigger?
Land is part of it, for sure. But the real disruptor is something much, much more power-hungry. We have to talk about AI.
Of course. Artificial intelligence. It changes everything. But explain the mechanics. How does something like ChatGPT hurt a city like Mumbai?
It completely changes the physics of a data center. Think about a traditional one. It hosts your emails, your company website. Those servers use a manageable amount of power.
Okay.
But AI workloads, especially training these huge models, they're a whole different beast. An AI data center consumes 5 to 20 times more power than a traditional facility.
5 to 20 times. That's not a small increase. That's a completely different kind of building.
It's a paradigm shift. We measure density in kilowatts per rack. A standard rack might be, say, 5 kilowatts. AI racks can push 50, 80, even 100. The energy draw is just astronomical.
And the projections in this report are staggering. By 2030, India's AI sector alone will need an extra 40 to 50 terawatt hours of electricity annually.
That's a huge chunk of the national grid, just for AI.
So can Mumbai's grid handle that kind of demand shock?
The short answer is no. And that's the core of the problem. Mumbai's grid is mature, but it was designed for 20 million people, for residential blocks and standard industry. It's already strained.
And now you want to plug in these gigawatt scale AI factories.
Exactly. It's like trying to plug an industrial welder into your living room wall. The infrastructure just isn't there. Plus, you have environmental rules phasing out coal plants near the city. The power generation just can't scale.
And nature abhors a vacuum. If Mumbai can't provide the power, someone else will. This was the part of the research that really surprised me. I did not expect the Visakhapatnam to be the main contender.
Isaac, yeah, in Andhra Pradesh. 2 years ago, it was barely on the map for data centers. Now, they've positioned themselves as the energy-abundant alternative.
And they're not thinking small. The stats here are just wild. The state's Data Center Advisory Council, set up in late 2025, has a target of 6,000 megawatts by 2030.
Let's just pause on that number for a second. 6,000 megawatts.
That's nearly 4 times India's entire current capacity, just in that one location.
Right. It's an incredibly audacious goal. But it tells you they understand the game has changed. It's not about latency anymore. It's about power availability. If you're training an AI model, you don't care if the server is 10 milliseconds further away. You care if the lights stay on.
Is this just talk, though? Or is actual money moving?
Well, the money is moving. Google and SiFi Infinity have already committed 1.55 gigawatts to Visakhapatnam. That's real capital. They're going there because they can get the power contract signed today, not in 5 years.
So energy is the first bottleneck. But the report talks about a silent killer that most people overlook. We always talk power, but we rarely talk water.
Water is the constraint that keeps engineers up at night. All those servers generate a ton of heat. You have to cool them or they literally melt. And traditional cooling is just incredibly thirsty work.
How thirsty? Give us a visual.
Okay, so a single 20-megawatt facility needs about 1.37 million liters of water every single day.
1.37 million liters a day for one building.
Yes. It works by evaporation, so you're basically sweating the heat away.
And we're talking about Mumbai, a city that already has a 2 to 3 month water deficit every year.
Exactly. Imagine the optics. Using millions of liters of water to cool servers when people are facing supply cuts, it's a public relations nightmare.
It's more than PR, it's a resource conflict.
It is. And the report has this shocking stat. 80% of the water used in traditional cooling is potable water.
Drinking water.
Drinking quality water, that's the kicker. And in India, there are currently no regulations to stop this. So you have this collision course between digital thirst and human thirst.
And this is where Chennai comes in. They've taken a completely different approach.
Chennai saw this coming. They had their own massive water crisis, day zero, and they learned from it. They mandated the use of non-potable or recycled water for all industrial cooling.
So they're using treated sewage water, gray water.
Exactly. They have an aggressive water recycling program. So, for the big tech giants, who all have these net zero and water positive goals, Chennai becomes very attractive. You can meet your ESG targets there.
It's ironic, isn't it? Mumbai is surrounded by the ocean, but it lacks the recycling infrastructure that Chennai perfected.
It really is.
So we've got energy and water. Now let's talk about the thing that usually drives these decisions. Cold, hard cash. The economics of land.
This is the most straightforward part of the problem. Mumbai is expensive, we all know that. But the gap between Mumbai and the challengers is just eye-watering.
Lay out the numbers for us.
In prime industrial areas in Mumbai, you're looking at 40,000 to over 100,000 rupees per square foot.
Ouch. That is steep for what's basically a computer warehouse.
Exactly. And land makes up 15 to 25% of the total project cost. So you're bleeding money before you even start. Now compare that to Visakhapatnam or Hyderabad.
What are we looking at there?
5,000 to 15,000 rupees per square foot.
That's a 75 to 80% reduction.
It changes the entire unit economics. If you build in Visag, you can offer services at a much lower rate. In a competitive market, that price difference is fatal.
So if the land is cheaper, the power is there, the water is managed, why hasn't Maharashtra done something? This feels like a massive government failure.
The report calls it policy asymmetry. It's a story of two different speeds. You have Maharashtra, which has been very passive, As of early 2026, there is no specific state-level data center policy.
Wait, really? The state with over half the market has no policy?
No specific updated policy to protect that lead. There are no defined capacity targets. If you want to build there, you need to get 30-plus different permissions. It's a bureaucratic maze.
And in Andhra Pradesh?
The complete opposite. They've rolled out Data Center Policy 4.0. They have a single window clearance system. You go to one desk, you get your stamps, you start building.
The report quotes their minister calling data centers the new refineries of the AI era.
That's a powerful metaphor. It shows they get it. They see data as the new oil, and they were building the infrastructure to refine it. When a government signals that clearly, investors listen.
And I assume this impacts talent, too. If the industry moves, the people move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're seeing a significant talent drain. Engineers, technicians, they're leaving Mumbai for Hyderabad and Bengaluru. The cost of living is lower, and crucially, that's where the career growth is.
So to paint the picture, Mumbai is expensive, thirsty, power-starved, and tangled in red tape. It sounds pretty dire. The report says the window is closing fast.
The estimate is 18 to 24 months. That is it.
2 years. That's nothing in infrastructure terms.
If they don't act in that time frame, the projection is Mumbai's market share drops from 53% down to 35, maybe 40%. A massive loss.
So let's play advisor. Can they save it? If you were sitting down with the state government, what's the solution?
It has to be radical. First, governance. They need a data center development authority immediately. One body with the power to cut through the red tape.
Stop the 30 permission mess.
Exactly. Make it one. Second, financial incentives. You can't change the market price of land, but the government can offer subsidized land leases. Target that 10 to 15,000 rupee range to at least be competitive.
And power costs.
Preferential power pricing. They need to offer renewable PPAs at 3 to 4 rupees per unit. If you can't match the power cost, you lose the AI game. Period.
What about location? The report mentioned a cluster approach.
Right. Don't just build anywhere.
Yeah.
Organize the chaos. They suggest 3 clusters. First, a western cluster in Navi Mumbai.
Close to the sea, for the submarine cables, for speed.
Correct, for the banks and traders. Then, a central cluster in Thane for power and logistics. And finally, a secondary cluster further inland, maybe in Aurangabad.
Where land is cheaper.
Exactly. For cold storage, backups, archives, data you don't need instantly. It's about being smarter with where you put the bits and bytes.
And the water issue, can technology help with that?
It can. The report highlights immersion cooling.
Sounds like sci-fi stuff.
It kind of is. Instead of blowing air over the servers, you literally submerge the entire server rack in a tank of non-conductive liquid.
It's amazing the electronics don't short out.
It's a special fluid. It touches the chips directly and just whisks the heat away. It cuts water use by 70 to 80%, and it handles the extreme heat of AI chips much better than air ever could.
Wow.
Mumbai needs to bet big on this.
Yeah.
It solves the water and the density issue in one go.
It feels like Mumbai has been coasting on its legacy for too long. They just assumed they'd always be king.
And that's the danger of being the incumbent. You get complacent, the market is projected to hit $21 billion by 2031. The demand is there. The only question is geography.
Lead deliberately or decline inadvertently. That was the phrase in the report that really stuck with me.
It's the perfect summary. The shift is already happening. Google going to Visag isn't a drill. It's a signal to the entire market.
So as we wrap this up, the takeaway is clear. We're watching the map of the Indian internet being redrawn in real time. It's a mix of geology, technology, and policy.
And it proves that in the digital age, geography still matters, just for different reasons. It's not just about where the banks are anymore. It's about where the power lines and water pipes are.
Which leads me to a final question I want to leave you with. We always assume the capital city is where the power lies. But if the physical brain of India's internet moves from Mumbai to a place like Visakhapatnam, does the geopolitical power shift with it? In a world where data is the new oil, does the city with the servers eventually become the city with the influence?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And looking at history, power usually follows the resources.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.